Hey guys, how's it going? So I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I recently binge watched the first season of Supergirl to prepare for Supergirl now being on CW. When Supergirl first was on the air, I could not get into it. The first episode was not amazing. The second episode was a little bit better, but for some reason I couldn't find myself going back to watch the show. So I missed a few episodes. I'm like, you know what, forget it, I'm just gonna have to marathon it. And I was hearing mixed things from some of my friends. I mean, there's good and bad things about the show, and I kind of want to go over those things now, and as a way of talking about what I hope they change now that the show is going to be going over to CW, and some things that I hope stay the same. By the way, there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this conversation because the first season of Supergirl has been on Netflix for almost a month now, and the show has been out there for about 6 months. So if you haven't seen it by now, I mean, I don't know if this is going to change your mind or not, but whatever, spoilers. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the cast of the show, mainly just the characters. I don't want to list off actors or whatever, but the girl playing Kara Danvers, Supergirl, I like her. I like the way she plays her. I like the look of the character, both in the costume and how she dresses when she's, on her secret identity. I like all that stuff. She's funny when she needs to be. She's also strong when she needs to be, when she's angry and doing I-beam shit. That stuff is all great. It's all fine and dandy. So then there's the Hank Henshaw character, who then gets revealed a few episodes in that he's actually the Martian Manhunter. I really like the Hank Henshaw character. At first, the Martian Manhunter special effects were a little distracting, and then I just kind of was like, okay, whatever, it's a show on TV, move on. His backstory is great, all that stuff. I think it's Alex Danvers is sometimes good, sometimes not, and we're gonna get into that later. The one that I was surprisingly liking a lot was the boss. I forgot her name, Cat something, Cat whatever. I'll type it in, Cat. So when I saw the trailers for Supergirl and when I saw the first episode, I'm like, man, this character is gonna annoy the shit out of me. And then as the show went on and it started giving her some more story, I'm like, wow, that's actually, I really like this character. When she comes on screen, I'm actually like, oh, I know for sure I'm gonna laugh. You got Jimmy Olsen, or as the show refers to him, James Olsen, who is there to be, an attractive male love interest, and he is one tall glass of water. Then you got Wynn, who is just the embodiment of everything that is friend zone, and we'll get into that later. And then you got Max Lord, which let me just go ahead and tell you that when Max Lord gets revealed to be the villain, I think it's in the 4th or 5th episode, when they reveal what he was doing, I was instantly like, Max Lord is a better Lex Luthor in this show than Jesse Eisenberg was in Batman v Superman. And I'll go into that a little bit later. Also, one more character I forgot to mention is Lucy Lane, who is supposed to be Lois Lane's sister, who used to date James back when he was in Metropolis. Those are the main members of the cast that you deal with. So now we're going to get into some pros and cons. I'm going to do the pros first. The things that I like about what Supergirl did in season 1 is when they introduced the Martian Manhunter, they didn't just bring him up and then that was it. They actually had one episode that was kind of an origin to where he came from Mars, and the story of what happened to his people, which is pretty much like the Holocaust just taking place on Mars with aliens. It was crazy. That was a really emotional episode, so you can kind of understand why he was doing the things that he was doing. And then there's an even later episode where he's revealed to be a Martian, and they're interrogating him, and they're interrogating everybody who knows him. He goes further into detail about why he chose the look of Hank Henshaw, because Martian Manhunter's real name is John Jones, and it was a whole really great thing. The whole Martian Manhunter storyline, in this show, the way it unfolds and his interaction with everybody, great. Okay, so the other pro is what I mentioned a little bit earlier, was Max Lord, who is pretty much the poor man's Lex Luthor for this show. Max Lord is charming. He's funny, but also a dick. He hits that sweet spot of being funny and being a dick. Okay, and he actually explains his plans. But Kara's supposed to be babysitting someone who, for some reason or another, ends up on the train that Max Lord is showing the world, like, hey, look, this train is so fast. And that train is getting targeted by someone who's trying to kill Max Lord. Kara has to make a choice. She knows that this guy is going to blow himself up on the train, but there's also a bomb at an airport. So she chooses to go to the train because that's where the kid is. And at the end of the episode, she confronts Max Lord because she realizes everything was done on purpose, and the evidence is pointing to Max Lord. And Max Lord's explanation of why he did the things that he did was, number one, to test Supergirl's capabilities, and in order to find out, her priorities or whatever, he put himself in a position where there's, like, let's say 200 people on a train, but then he put a bomb in an airport where there's thousands of people, and Supergirl chose the train. So he narrows it down that, okay, so someone you knew was on the train. So once I figure out who that person is, I can figure out who you are. Like, that whole explanation was a better explanation as to what he was doing on a television show to figure out Supergirl's identity. That made more sense to me than the explanation that we got from Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman, where he just says he knows things. And, triangles. There's triangles. I noticed triangles. So, and another thing that the show does well is there are a lot of hidden gems in the show. Like, by hidden gems, I mean, like, there's these moments where when you watch it, you're like, yes, this is what we need from, like, a Supergirl, Superman, like anything representing Justice League superheroes. This is the kind of things that we need. There was an episode where Kara loses her powers, and she has to stop someone who's robbing a convenience store, and they're armed, and she knows that, she kind of broke her arm already. She knows that if she goes up against these guys and they shoot, she's gonna die, but she has to stop them because she's Supergirl. So she actually gets in her costume, shows up, and she has a conversation with the guy where he ends up giving up his weapon to her, because he knew it was the right thing to do. And she didn't have to punch him, she didn't have to threaten him, she didn't have to do anything. That's something that's like, okay, once again, so Supergirl on a television show was looking at a guy who she could not beat, at the time. He had a gun, and her solution was to just talk to the guy and try to get him to turn over the gun, as opposed to Superman, who in Man of Steel felt the only way to deal with Zod was to kill Zod. And I know all the fanboys are going to be like, oh, but if you watch the scene, he was in a laser beam of family. Okay, bro. We're not going to talk about Man of Steel and Batman v Superman anymore. Moving on. And that is the last positive thing we're going to talk about. Now we're going to get into the cons. One of the biggest things that this show had going on when it was advertising itself and the first episode is it definitely wants to get a female demographic, but not just get a female demographic, but to illustrate that women can be strong. Okay, there are several times they attempt to do this. The problem with the show's execution is it actually hurts the idea of strong women, and I'm going to give you some examples now. There are several episodes in this show, if not all of them. A majority of the episodes focus on two things, similar to what The Flash does. There's a conflict with a supervillain of some kind. There's a conflict there with that. And there's a conflict in Kara's personal life. Now, the things, that go on is, and I'm going to try not to compare it to The Flash, like, to give you examples from The Flash, but I'll give you an example of one thing that happened that just had me over the edge. And these things I'm talking about right now, I've also talked about with my other female friends who have tried watching the show and stopped because of this shit. And whenever I tell them the stuff they missed out on, they just roll their eyes like they can't believe that this is a thing. So one of the things is that there's an episode where there's a plant that infected her, right? The plant puts her to sleep and puts her in a dream state, and the longer she stays in that dream, the plant is slowly killing her. So the plant is making Kara think that she is back on Krypton because the plant's trying to convince her to stay in the dream so it can successfully kill her. So that's what's going on with Kara. So when her friends, James Olsen and Wynn, notice that she's not at work, they freak out, they call her sister Alex, they break into her apartment, and they find her. So they pick her up. Problem number listen, I'm gonna skip this one part for a second. I'm gonna come back to it later. But let's just go ahead and say that what they find out is we need to figure out how to wake up Kara. And while we do that, it's really important that Kara keeps her job. Like Alex, her sister, actually goes to Hank Henshaw, the Martian Manhunter, and tells him it won't matter if we save Kara, because if she loses her job, she's not going to have a life anyway. So they convince the Martian Manhunter, a superhero that in the comics is so important, he's a member of the Justice League, that it's heard that Superman has said that Martian Manhunter is one of the strongest beings on the planet other than Superman. They get this super powered character and make him shapeshift into Kara to do Kara's job for the rest of the episode. While he gets bitched at by Cat Grant, they're there trying to figure out what to do with Kara, because that is where they needed him to be. Not there helping Kara wake up from the plant dream where she could fucking die. No, they needed him to go do her job as a secretary at a report. Like, they couldn't just make up a lie that Kara was sick. Wynn tries to cover, but it doesn't work. And they're more worried about Kara losing her job than Kara losing her life. And that's just one example of several things that happens. There's an episode where there's a bizarro Supergirl attacking her constantly, and her bigger problem is that she stood up Cat Grant's son on a date. And there's even a scene where she physically gets picked up by Bizarro while on a date and flown somewhere, and they still give her shit about standing the guy up.
I should have done more. I mean, why take her and not me?
It was just dumb luck.
Kira, we have been worried sick about you. I ordered an Amber Alert.
Episodes like that. There's scenes in the show where Supergirl would just finish doing something super heroic and then fly through her sister's window at her apartment as Supergirl and start talking about her personal life problems with guys. There's constant scenes where a huge catastrophe happens and they just sit down and they have ice cream after it, and they're just kind of like, oh, well, whatever, and they talk about guys. There is a lot of time on this show that's advertised as trying to empower women spent talking about guys. There's not really a balance. You know, there's not really a balance to when they're dealing with one thing and the other. Like, it seems that her personal life, as far as things of that nature, dating, her job, and her friends, are as important as saving the world, and I find that a little odd. And this is one of the things I was going to bring back earlier. So the whole thing that I told you guys about Max Lord's plan to do the thing with the train and all that, that was the main conflict for Supergirl. But the conflict for Kara was she agreed to babysit Cat Grant's son. So she's trying to fight crime and come back and check on the son and leaves the son with Wynn. And, you know, and the kid ends up being on the train. That's like another example to empower women. So apparently the strong women thing can only happen for the main characters like Kara, Alex, Cat Grant. Only they can be representative of strong women. But later on in the show, there's a secretary that is trying to take Kara's position. So she's being like an extra kiss ass with Cat Grant and all that stuff. And Wynn, also known as Friend Zone Extraordinaire, he is trying to talk to the girl because he's already accepted he can't get with Kara. There comes a point where he just says something to her and the girl immediately starts making out with Wynn in the office. And you're like, okay, wow, that was really... She seemed like she didn't care about him at all. And now she's making out with him in the office. And then you find out while going through the next episode that they actually become a thing after that, where they're just making out in janitors' closets and all this shit. And it's like, okay. So is Lucy Lane, who was supposed to be Lois Lane's sister, who used to date James back when he was in Metropolis. Not much to talk about there. She is there to be a strong female character who works for the military, and all she does is get involved in James's life by trying to work where he works, getting involved and being suspicious about what he's up to and what he's doing and who he's hanging out with, gets mad at him for doing things that he's always done, again, such as, oh, he used to hang out with Superman, moved to another city, now he's hanging out with Supergirl. So that was a problem in the relationship in Metropolis. She left Metropolis to go be with him in National City, and go and bitch about the same thing again. And essentially, that character, until the end of the show, where she just kind of has an arc that just happens, she's just kind of on and off being a pain in the guy's ass for no reason.
You were right. I didn't come here for the case. I came here for you.
Okay, well, I'll give you a ring if I'm not too slammed at work.
It's awkward, and I kind of don't want to hear the answer, but is Jimmy seeing anyone?
What? No. No, he just moved here.
What about Supergirl? I saw the news. Jimmy by her side, fighting Reactron. I'm just worried he's gonna find her irresistible.
No. Really?
Jimmy thinks my work came between us, but he's wrong. Maybe I should have appreciated him more, but the reason I prioritize work is because he prioritized him.
Superman.
No matter where we were or what we were doing, Jimmy took off the moment Superman called. And I couldn't complain because, of course, they're off saving people's lives. She wants me to be her general counsel, starting immediately.
What?
Congratulations, that's amazing. So you would be here? Wow, so you would be right here?
Yeah.
That's...
Supergirl. She told you, didn't she?
Lucy, it's coming.
How close are you two? Are you as close with her as you are with him? Closer. Fool me once, right?
Lucy.
I have a senior analyst at Langley who owes me a favor.
You know, actually, I was just gonna head out and run down some old contacts I had.
Anyone I know?
No?
Anyone in a cape?
Lucy.
Why is it your first instinct to work this with Supergirl and not me?
I'm sorry.
Strong female character. The last problem that the show has is nothing is secret. Okay, when the show begins, only Alex, Kara's sister, knows that she's Supergirl. James technically doesn't count because he already knew that she was Supergirl, but Wynn finds out she's Supergirl because he has to make the costume. Because Wynn is an IT guy who's also a hacker who can also make costumes. So now it went from Alex, Wynn, James Olsen know that she's Supergirl. Hank Henshaw and the entire base, they all know Kara's Supergirl. I mean, they must know. They have to. Because apparently it said early on in the show that they always knew about the sister. So an entire military base knows Supergirl is Kara Danvers. Later on in the show, Max Lord figures out, but he definitely knows who her sister is and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he figured it out by the end of the season. So he there's just so many people who know who Supergirl is. And then what's funny is there is actually an episode that plays out like this. There's an episode where Supergirl is trying to go after a character that he's an alien who hunts other aliens. And Kara gets captured by him, you know, because she was trying to stop him, but he wasn't really planning on executing her. And while she's in prison, there's another alien who's a prisoner, and they talk and they bond a little bit. So after she saves the guy at the end of the episode, she tells the guy, you know, by the way, my name is Kara. Tells that to an alien who used to be a prisoner. Yet, in that same episode, James Olsen's having problems with his girlfriend, Lucy Lane, and the problem is because they originally broke up because he hung out with Superman too much. He was bromancing with Superman. So she's starting to see that happen again with James and Supergirl. So James is trying to convince Kara that, oh, Lucy should know that you're Supergirl, so that, because that'll somehow make everything okay. That the girl that I work with is also the girl I like at the job. Is also the girl I work with on superhero stuff. You know, that's gonna make things better. And Kara makes a big deal to not tell that, like, to not give James permission to tell Lucy that Kara's Supergirl. Yet she just told an alien that she's known for fucking 30 minutes that she's Kara.
And besides, you have students to teach about stars.
Thank you, Supergirl.
Oh no, my name's Kara.
Then, thank you, Miss Kara.
Yeah. Lucy caught me lying. And I realized that if I'm ever gonna make things work with her, I need your permission to stop lying to her. I need to tell her the truth. I need to be able to tell her that you are Supergirl.
What was the logic and reasoning behind that? Another example of how nothing is secret. That episode that I told you about where Kara is about to be killed by a plant. Well, when Alex, Wynn, and James discover her in her apartment getting like killed by this plant, Alex takes it upon herself to bring Wynn and James to the secret military base. And even Hank Henshaw's like, why are you bringing them here? This is supposed to be a secret.
Her torso with over 100 pounds of pressure.
What the hell are these guys doing here?
Later on in the show, Wynn's ex-girlfriend goes into the military base. There's a bunch of people who just get into the military base. The Flash gets into the military base. So in the crossover episode, it's like the military base is not fucking secret. And then, not only that, there was a villain who was brought into the military base, and apparently they just let they found out, okay, at the time she wasn't a villain, so they let her leave, but they let her leave, and when she decides to make an attack, she comes right back, so they don't even like let you leave in the sense of like, hey, we're gonna blindfold you and take you somewhere so that you don't know where the base is. They just let them come and go. Just come and go as they please. Kara brings the Flash over. She doesn't know who the fucking Flash is. He's saying he's from another dimension. Brings him right over to the base. I immediately trust the Flash. He seems like good people. But you know what? Let's take a moment to talk about Wynn. This fucking guy. I feel so bad for him. And it's just, Jesus Christ. He makes Supergirl her outfit. Things that need hacking or looking up information, all this stuff.
Thank you for watching him. I don't know what I would do without you.
When you're getting killed.
Every day, kid.
And the guy pours his heart out to Kara and says, I love you. I've loved you since the moment I met you. He's known this girl for 2 years, it's said in the show. And he's always had a thing for her. And he tells her, I can't keep being your friend. And, you know, he laid a kiss on her or whatever. And then they have this awkward moment where they're not talking to each other. And then when she almost dies, comes one of the cringiest things I've ever seen on TV ever. And that's another thing that the show has going against it, is cringe. There are a lot of things that are cringy. I actually had this scene I'm about to show you guys shown to like my female friends that were coming over, and they were just like, oh my god, the cringe. And there's so many cringy moments on this show, and it's just oh god. Let me just show you the clip. So this is when they haven't been talking for a while. Kara almost dies, so they get together, and then this scene happens.
I belong here with you. My family. Yes, it's true. There's no place like home.
I'm sorry, you just quoted a movie, Danvers. This is like a whole new level in our friendship here. Because we are friends.
Yeah, the best.
Give it up.
Well, I didn't know if it was a pot stick or not.
So now that we have all those things out of the way, and to explain why I just watched all of this like it was a fucking chore, is that was when Supergirl was on CBS. Now Supergirl's moving to CW, so I'm hoping that because they're gonna try to do, you know, crossover episodes and just like that. I don't know how exactly that whole project works, but I'm hoping that they change up those problems a little bit more in the next season. Like the whole focus on the girl power thing, I get it. It's an important message that we need out there. Their execution of it is not in a positive direction. You can't have a city-ending event match the complexity of dating. That is not a positive towards women. That is not a positive thing to worry about. There's a bizarro version of you trying to kill you that has all your powers pretty much, and you're worried that your boss is mad that you didn't date her son. That can't be the fucking... That can't be the focus of episodes, man. I don't know, man. If you want her to be playful and funny, make her playful and funny, but then don't try to push this message of strong female empowerment, because there's so many examples on TV right now, especially in the superhero genre, of strong female characters, both from DC and from Marvel. And I'll just put them up on the screen now, and you can debate whether or not these are not all strong women in the shows that they're in. So it can be done. It just doesn't need to be done and then said and then preached and then put in your face. Okay? Here's another cringy moment.
She's not strong enough.
Why? Because she's just a girl?
Why? Because she's a girl? No. Because the guy whooped her ass earlier in the day. He's an alien criminal with experience and an axe that actually hurt your sister, and he's planning on killing her. That's why we're worried that she's not going to win, because she already lost earlier in the day. It has nothing to do with that she's a girl. So anyway, guys, what do you think about Supergirl Season 1, and are you looking forward to Season 2? What are you looking forward to? Let me know what you think, and if you can go ahead and share this video, that'd be great. Like and subscribe, that'd be awesome. Thank you.